The committee acknowledges and honours the traditional owners of the ancestral lands upon which we meet today, the Whadjuk Noongar people, and pays its respect to their elders, both past and present. Can you please state your full name and the capacity in which you appear today, or just your full name is fine?
Stacey Garlett.
Thank you very much. I now require you to take oath or an affirmation there in front of you. Yep, whichever you prefer, the oath or the affirmation.
Yeah, I'll do the oath.
Okay.
Yeah, I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I will give before this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Stacey, you signed a document entitled Information for Witnesses. Did you read and understand that document?
Yeah.
Thank you. These proceedings are being recorded by Hansard. A transcript of your evidence will be provided to you after the hearing.
Yep.
To assist the committee in Hansard, well, you won't be quoting from any documents, I don't think. Just be aware of the microphones. And if you make any adverse allegations during your evidence, the committee may release that information to allow the other party a chance to respond. I remind you that your transcript will be made public. If you wish to make a confidential statement during today's proceedings, you should ask the committee if you can give your evidence in private. If the committee grants your request, any public and media in attendance will be asked to leave the room. Until the transcript of evidence of your public evidence is finalised, you should not make it public. I advise you the publication or disclosure of the uncorrected transcript of evidence may constitute a contempt of Parliament, may mean that the material published or disclosed is not protected by parliamentary privilege. And also, just to let you know that Jessie's here today as a support person. You don't need to do the oath again, Jessie. You've already done that. But Jesse's here to support you, and that's his capacity in attendance today.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. So with that, Stacey, have you got anything you'd like to tell us to begin with, or would you like us to just ask some questions? Ideally, we'd like to hear your story and also where you think we can improve in terms of providing facilities and services for the homeless.
Yeah, well, I'm a Whadjuk Noongar. I was born and bred here in Perth, and I've got 6 children that I've always been able to provide for and put a roof over their head. But this year in June, my lease didn't be renewed from a private rental. But before that, I was on the wait list, just a normal wait list, for about 18 months with the Department of Housing. Not offered anything at all while being on that wait list.
Sorry, how long were you on the wait list?
18 months.
Right.
Not being offered anything from the department. The house that I was in, a private rental, they took me to court for the standards of the property. That was chucked out. That was dismissed. And the lease was due up in June this year, and they just said that they weren't going to renew my lease and all this sort of stuff. And so I just up and moved out at about May. And also on top of that, my rent was just getting higher and higher. It got from, when I first moved into the house, it was $270. It went nearly all the way up to $400. And that was just, that's a lot of money.
So it was $200 a week rent.
$270 a week when I first moved in.
And when was that? Sorry, 18 months before.
No, I was in this private rental for 5 years.
Oh, so 5 years ago it's $200.
Yeah.
And it went up to $400.
Yeah.
Okay. And when did the sharp increase occur?
Just around the mid-COVID times when that started coming, and like the rents just started going up for everybody.
So it was $400 a week you were paying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was, so when I went to court, he chucked that out, but I just felt like I was being pressured and bullied by just not to be in the property anymore. So I just up and packed all my stuff, and I've still got all my stuff in storage that I'm paying $250 a month for. All my household stuff that's in there.
And where are you living now?
Well, I'm sort of going from all family members, my daughters, but I'm sort of putting her house at jeopardy because she's not supposed to have anybody there. But, she can't see her mum homeless because I'm her mum.
So are all of your children adult of adult age now?
Oh no, I've got 4 that's adults and I've got 2 that's 14 and 15.
That still live with you?
Yeah.
And so
And
they
I've got
are...
my 18-year-old son still, he still lives at home.
Dependent. So Stacey, you've been pretty much couch surfing since June of this year?
Yeah.
Okay. And have you been in touch with communities, Department of Communities?
Yeah, I ring her every week. Cherie Kelly, I ring her every week, and all my responses from her is that I have to wait for somebody to hand their key in, and wait for properties to become available. And that's what I said. Well, this is not going to happen. I said, Homes West is long-term accommodation, so that's why people look for Homes West accommodation, because once you're in there, not a lot of people move, not a lot of people vacate. But that's all my response that I'm getting from Armidale Homes West is that's all I've got to wait for is somebody to hand their keys in and a property becomes available.
Okay, so they haven't given you a projected time frame in terms of...
she won't even give me any of that. I ring this woman every week. She knows my voice on the phone. I ring her that much.
Have there ever been any occasions where you haven't been able to find a couch to sleep on, or...?
I've got a lot of family, but, I feel like, I've always had a home for my kids since I was 17. I'm 41 this year, and I feel ashamed of the situation that I'm in, and I can't provide a home for my children. I don't talk about my situation because it's embarrassing. It's quite shame to be able to, to be homeless at...
So you do regard yourself as homeless, don't you?
Yeah, well, I am homeless.
Yeah.
I don't have a roof over my head. I've got no... my daughters don't have their own room. It's...
Dan?
Yeah, I was to say, so your history there with private rentals, have you always, your whole life, it's always been private rentals? Have you ever been involved with Homes West in the past?
I've been involved with Homes West in the past, and I don't have a debt or anything with Homes West.
Good record, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
yep.
I've got a clean slate with them. I vacated, I think their properties, oh gosh, making me work my brain now.
Yeah, but a long time ago.
A long time ago. Then I moved down to the country to get my kids out of the city,
yep.
And then grew them all up down in the country. And then my mum and dad started getting sick.
Yeah.
So then I moved back to Perth, and then I've been in a private rentals for about 7 years.
Yeah, okay.
Steve?
Thanks, Chair. Stacey, thanks for turning up today. My name's Steve Martin. Can you run us through what that process looks like? So you got on the priority list 18 months ago. So just talk us through from the first...
Not the priority, sorry.
So
it was a wait list.
Oh, sorry, yep.
18 months ago.
Yep.
Or it'd be more now. It was 18 months ago early this year, about March this year. So it'll be a bit more than I've been on priority since May this year.
And at any stage, is there any indication of when? Or is it's
Nothing.
It's entirely open-ended?
Nothing. She just says that's what the only response I'm getting is I've got to wait for somebody to hand their key in and a house becomes available, or a suitable property becomes available. And I've even said, because I'm listed for a 4-bedroom, I said I'll take a 3-bedroom. I'll manage with it. I'm not. It doesn't faze me. And then their policies is like, oh no, that's not adequate. We can't do that. You've got to take. You've got to wait for the 4-bedroom.
And assuming you don't call them next week, is there any... When would you expect to hear back from them if you don't
I don't
call?
hear from them. I ring her. I don't hear anything back from them.
And how long have you been calling every week?
Since May.
Right.
Yeah, so it's...
And
Well, even before, I'd used to ring every couple of months when I was in a private rental just to see, because you have to up... And they don't tell you anything about the policies and procedures, how they change. Because I believe I might have been on it for a bit longer than that, but now they've changed it where you have to renew it once a year, but nobody tells you these things. These government departments don't tell you this. So then you go in and check for your listing on the where you are on the waiting list, and they're like, oh no, your application's not vacant, not thing anymore because you haven't updated your details. And it's like, well, how are we supposed to know this?
So, see, with regard to your private rental that you had, And now that since you've been out of the private rental, have you ever had any advice or assistance with regard to getting another private rental and then potential assistance
Well,
for that?
I've worked it out. This house that I paid for this man, then he can just up and boot me out.
Yeah.
I paid like 130-something thousand onto his mortgage.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that's fair. You know, us being, this is our country, this is where we come from, and we're making everybody else rich. So no, I don't want to pay anybody else's mortgage, to tell you the truth. I want to get back on my feet and pay my own mortgage. Leave something for my kids.
Yep.
But yeah, so I've worked it out in these years that I've been renting. It's over $100,000 that I've paid to somebody else's mortgage or somebody else's holiday fund or whatever they have. And I just don't believe it's fair anymore, and I don't want to keep doing that.
No, fair call.
Can I ask a quick follow-up
Yep.
about that, renewing the applications? I don't know that we've heard that before. So
They
you've
wouldn't
been...
renew my tenancy.
Yeah, so you've been
Yeah.
told that if that yearly application slips past, somehow
You just get chucked off.
So you slide down the list, or
Yeah,
you're...
you got to start all over again from scratch.
Off the list.
You start all over again from scratch. So I believe I might have been. So while I was in these private rentals, I thought I was actually on the list, and then I rock up to the department, and see how my application was going, and they're like, "You don't have a valid application." I was like, "What do you mean?" And then they tell me about this new thing that they brought in, yearly review, that you have to update your circumstances every year for you to still maintain your position on the housing. And I believe that's happening to a lot of us out there, not just myself. A lot of people. If you're and where are people homeless, and where are they going to update their situations? And go in and do all that sort of stuff. You got more other things on your mind than all that sort of stuff. So that's a policy that's not fair, I don't believe, because people. If you're looking for a home for Homes West, your situations aren't going to change. You're waiting for you think you're waiting for a home. You think you're on a wait list, but you're not.
Thanks, Jeff.
Brett.
Thanks, Stacey. What would you like to see the government do to make it easier for families to access suitable housing?
We'll start building some more, because we can't just wait for people to hand their keys in for us to get more housing. We're in a rich country here. We're in look where we live. And look at our housing situation. Look where we're at. It's appalling, really.
And what about, obviously, building houses is going to take time. What
Or
about
buying houses?
Yeah.
There's plenty of houses out here for sale. Like spot purchases and all that sort of stuff. I know Homes West do that. Well, there's not enough of that happening. You can see how desperate the housing situation is, and nothing's been done about it. I went to the Minister of Housing, and I got the weakest response back from him. It was unbelievable.
Read from it if you want.
Could you explain that response?
Your letters under notes, by the way.
Oh, should I give that one at all?
Up to you. Oh, we've got copies we can hand up.
Okay,
That's
but-
helpful,
Yeah.
Stacey can read from it.
I read to him, and I was. Do I read it all?
Can we get a copy of that letter? Is
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Yeah. So where is it? Where's that amount of money? $2.4 billion has been put into housing and
3 copies of
homelessness.
Stacey's letter. And
That's
5
a lot of
copies
money.
Yeah, that's
Like that's heaps.
maybe if you
That's
read.
that's what it says in the letter, isn't it?
Yeah, this is my response. So I read to him as like, "Dear Mr. Kerry, my name is Stacey Garlett. I'm a Noongar woman from Perth. I was pushed out of a private rental market due to rent increase that we were facing. I have got myself on priority listing for the Department of Housing, and I was on the wait list for 2 years before no property being offered to me. I have been on the priority list since May, but I should have been in since March, and this is what they've done. They when I went initially and filled in March, they lost my priority form, the department, and they won't acknowledge any of that. I went in there in May and put my application in, and somehow that disappeared. So, and then I contacted them again and saying, did my priority get approved or anything? And they're like, you don't have a priority application in. I was like, what do you mean I don't have a priority application in? So I believe it should have been from March, because that's when I first originally went in and I was wanting to apply for priority. And then I've always had a home since I was 17, And at the age of 41, I'm homeless, and it's quite embarrassing. I try to ring Armidale, but sometimes, a lot of the times, there's no answer. I think she knows my number and just ignores my phone calls when I ring. I really need to be housed, me and my kids. I was a bit angry this day, so I put I'll be going to sleep in front of Armidale housing office soon, and they can come and walk out and see the situation I'm in. You see the stories all over the news on how to respond to First Nations people, and I am one of them who need help immediately. Where is all the money and the funding going? And we still can't even be housed. Thanks, Stacey Garlett. And then this is my response. On behalf of the Minister, thank you for your email on the 2nd of August regarding your housing situation. I was sorry to learn the difficulty and experience while looking for stable accommodation. Acknowledge the impact that you and your family are having. The Minister shares your concerns and well-being of people who do not have a safe place to call home. The Minister's priority, and that the state government, is as many West Australians as possible in safe, secure and sustainable homes. The state government has also taken pride in being committed to assisting our state's most vulnerable and investing record amount to assist Western Australians in line with their commitments. The state government is investing $2.4 billion into housing and homelessness over the next 4 years, which includes a recently announced record investment of $875 million as part of the 2001-2002. So that's already gone. We're in 2001. So that. Where's the $875 million gone? Because that was in the 2001-2002 budget. We're nearly at the end of 2002. And this is the single largest one-off investment into social housing in state history, and will provide an immediate boost to social housing. The state government has also recently launched a private diversity pipeline, which is helping to boost the availability and social and affordable housing in Western Australia. In terms of the rental market, our government is putting in place more initiatives through land tax concession and build to rent schemes, which ensures more rentals come into market long term, which is subject to fluctuation in the property market. In relation to your circumstances, Department of Community has advised you are priority listed for a 4-bedroom property in Armidale Zone as the 19th of May 2022. I understand the Department of Communities has advised that there is no record of submitting an application to priority assistance prior to May 2022, and as such you as listed cannot be backdated. The Department is unable to provide a specific time frame as of when you will be offered a property, unfortunately, as the Department on the turnovers and vacated properties. However, please be assured the Department strives to accommodate all people on the waiting list as soon as possible and will contact you when a suitable property is available. So that's the letter I got back from. I think that's just, yeah.
Yeah, I get your frustration. Brett.
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, I mean, likewise, it's frustrating. And can I ask what kind of response would you have liked in terms of actually, what do you think would have been an appropriate response in this case? To actually see that, like the housing numbers have gone down and that they're actually buying houses and all that, but it's not being shown. I guess one of the, there is I think this has been probably one of the most heartbreaking parts of this inquiry, is just realising, I can acknowledge the good work the government's doing around to try and provide long-term housing supply, but we've got this problem right now which you are very much experiencing, is that there is this, right at present there is no housing for people who desperately need it, and I mean it's heartbreaking, especially when you hear families in your situation. Do you think there is a role for government to provide short-term? I mean, if you got some kind of short-term housing.
Well, the only short-term accommodation I know about is people experiencing domestic violence. Well, not everybody goes through domestic violence. Yeah. So there's got to be other options or other houses that they put out there for people. That's the only other option I know is domestic violence houses, and if you're in a domestic violence situation, like they've got separate houses and all that sort of stuff, but a lot of people aren't in that situation. A lot of people just, need to be housed.
Yeah, I mean, just what comes to mind for me there was a scheme that the government had during COVID, which was a residential, what was it called? The Residential Relief Grant Scheme, which was actually this very idea was to provide housing and grants for people like themselves who were being pushed out. And the frustration is that most of that wasn't spent. That large chunk of money largely went unspent. And I think there is a really good case for yourself for actually assisting people like yourself. Like I can't help but think putting you and your children up in be it a hotel or some kind of accommodation would actually be. I mean, is that something that you would find useful, even if it was just for a few months until they found you longer term housing?
Yeah, or something, because I've got no assistance whatsoever since I've been since I've been homeless.
You would be satisfied if you got a motel or a hotel just for a few months. Just to get you
I
off
would
the street.
be. Yeah, well, it's somewhere like where I can. I'm just experiencing our first cousin, who's just died of cancer last week. So, there's just nowhere to wind down or nowhere to, just sit down and put your feet up or just relax, and just...
Did you say you've still got a son that's 14, was that right?
No, he's 18.
18.
He's still a baby, but he's only just turned 18.
But didn't you say you had two with you?
Yeah, I've got 2 daughters and 1 son. So I've got 3 kids.
So how old are your daughters?
14 and 15.
Oh, 14 and 15. So where do they go to school?
Well, this is my situation too. I've sent them away to Mount Barker, to their nan, because I can't cart them around. I've got no stability up here for them. They go to school. They love their sports. I can't cart them around up here with me. And like some days I have really stressful days and like really can get really emotional. And I don't want them to see that. I've worked and I've provided for my kids, and now I feel like I'm a failure. And I don't want my daughters to see that. If they see that in me, well, what are they going to think? This is normal. This is life. Well, no, it's not.
So
my home's been broken and everything. My family's split. I've got 2 daughters that live nearly 400 k's away from me.
If you were to get a house, Stacey, would your daughters come back to live with you?
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for, because I can't. Like I said, I can't cart them around up here with me because it's just not.
Yeah. And
they're used to stability. They're thinking, oh my God, my mum's crazy. They look at me some days and I'm just thinking, oh my God. And then it's just, it can be hard. And then I can't, give them any answers. Like, well, what are you supposed to do as a parent when you can't answer to your children? When are we going to get a house?
Okay, we didn't have to wind up, so have that couple of quick ones.
Please.
Yep.
Stacey, you mentioned Armidale a couple of times. I assume you're from that part of Perth?
Well, originally I grew up around like Big Park and thing, but that's the zone I'm in because my mum and dad are both old or in their 70s, and my dad's got heart conditions. He's just had a major, major heart attack last month. So I've just chosen to be down there like near him because
The reason I asked, I was just wondering if you've tried or had the ability to access any services since June. Since you've been...
I constantly ring, what's the entry point?
Yeah.
And all they tell me is everything is already full and there's a wait list. I contacted Indigo Junction to get on the Emperor list because that was the only one that I knew that had the funding for it, because this is a new listing or house listing or something, and I've heard that you get a caseworker or something and they help you with all that. Well, I can do all this myself. I can talk for myself. I don't need... But yeah, and then that program has got a wait list. So I'm waiting to get a call back from that.
And just a quick one. And just tell us about the private market. We've got a fair idea what it looks like, but in your eyes, is that completely out of reach?
I don't even go to any home opens anymore. I went to one home open and the house was going for $400 a week and someone offered them $600. I can't compete with that.
Actually, a follow up on that for that one too. And what, for you in terms of your income, what's an affordable rental for you and your family?
I could manage $300 a week. As soon as I get a house, I can go back to work.
So not having a house is actually stopping you working.
Yeah. So I was doing traffic management before this. Before I lost my house. Before that, I was in like I worked at Wandjitting Aboriginal Corporation, but yeah, that got a bit too. I got a bit too attached to that, so I just changed altogether, and I went to traffic management where I just deal with cars. And, yeah, and there's no stress. Yeah, I just go to work and I go home because there's a lot of family stress at home already, so I couldn't deal with the community. It was just a bit too much for me.
Stacey, unfortunately, we're going to have to bring this to a close.
Yeah,
now.
that's
I mean, it has been compelling. Can I just say before I conclude, you're not a failure. And you're not a disappointment. You need to understand that.
Oh,
I'm
it's hard
sure.
not to
Please
feel
don't.
like that, but
I know you feel like that at the moment, but these dark clouds will rise, and you will get a home eventually, and you'll have your daughters back with you. But please don't ever think you're a failure.
yeah, thank you.
Can I thank you very much for attending today? Can I please end the broadcast there?